Hey everyone, it's Tim from Linessa Farms Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today. So today we have a special treat for you. We are traveling out to a Boer Goat farm, and not just any Boer Goat farm. We are going to Larry and Brenda Lorenz's Boer Goat farm, which is known as Land of Lincoln Boer Goats in Grant Park, Illinois. If you have ever been to the state finals in Illinois or a handful of other states, or you've been to North American International Livestock, you have seen guaranteed some of Larry and Brenda's Boer Goats. They are absolutely fantastic, and they have lots and lots of banners and trophies behind them to show off just how awesome they are. They kind of exude what we know as that Midwest hospitality. They were very welcoming to us. They brought us in, they talked to us, they gave us a tour of their farm. Very down to earth, straightforward, very, very helpful. I can tell you most definitely in the future, if I am going to purchase any Boer Goats, Larry is going to be at the very top of my list. With that being said, let's head on out to Larry's farm and see what's going on today. Hey everybody, it's Tim from Linessa Farms Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us today. So today, real exciting, we are actually finally at a Boer Goat farm, and we're here with Larry Lorenz. Is that correct? Now, Larry, tell me, the farm name itself is?
We go by Land of Lincoln Boer Goats.
Okay.
And it's my wife, Brenda, and I.
Okay. So how in the hell did you get into goats?
About 15 years ago, I got these buildings that we raise livestock on, cattle.
Okay.
And I got to pay taxes on them, so we got to do something. And the wife was in a car accident, got rear-ended.
Oh, geez.
So she had back surgery, so we couldn't have horses, and we got rid of the cattle we had. And we started, I thought, been watching Boer Goats, and so we started into them. And so the hardest part is that in 15 years you got to learn about the goats, and you raise cattle for hundreds of years. You know, your grandfather and all, he taught you how to raise cattle, and the goat thing is totally different world.
Sure. Yeah, even from I grew up taking care of sheep, and then even transitioning into having some goats, I thought, well, they'll be the same as raising sheep. No, not even.
No, not even close.
Not even close.
Goats are stupid.
They can be. They can be. That is the other thing that I've noticed is it seems like if I get a sick sheep, I tend to have a little bit easier time getting them back to health than if I get a sick goat. It seems like by the time I recognize that I've got a sick goat, it's almost.
Oh yeah. Cattle. Well, we need to treat one that tomorrow.
Right.
Raising goats.
You don't do it tomorrow.
We need
you do it
to treat it right now.
Absolutely.
Or it's dead tomorrow. I mean.
Absolutely.
They're goats. I mean, the day they're born, they're trying to figure out how to die.
Right. Either die, get out, or get hurt. Right.
They can see a hole 2 inches big, and they'll stick their head in it and hang themselves. I mean.
Right.
And anybody that tells you any different is just
doesn't know. They've never probably had them.
They've never done them. I mean, and everybody thinks that they got personalities. They're better pets than sheep. I mean, and goats, the kids like showing them because you can feed them like a pig and you can clip them like a steer. And it don't cost near as much,
Do you, for somebody that's new, maybe their kids are getting started in 4-H, when you think about goats, do you think it's an okay animal to start off fresh with for someone that doesn't have experience?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a fine thing if you got somebody to call.
Right.
When somebody buys one from us, our first thing is you call us. Here's my number. Call me. You got a problem, you call me. Because we've already had that problem.
We've done this. We do the same thing with our customers too, especially if they start having any health issues with the animal. We tell them, just call us immediately. A lot of times if we catch it early, we can do something about it.
The biggest problem with showing goats is when people start, what kind of goats do you want to raise? You got to decide, and people laugh at me because I tell them that, you got to decide, you want to raise full-blood goats, they're about 300 pounds. And a weather goat's about 120 pounds as a doe. I mean, it's like a 2,000-pound Semitol cow compared to a 1,100-pound Angus cow. They both wean the same size calf.
Sure.
And it costs you a lot more to feed them.
Probably one of the number one questions I get asked from people that are new getting into goats is, do I need to get registered goats? And I say, well, first and foremost, it's going to depend on where you're going to show them and what the requirements are of the show. Do you have anything that you would add to that? What do you say to that question when people come to you and say, do I need to get registered or commercial?
What do you want to raise? We're back to that same question. It's the first thing you got to decide.
Right.
Do you want to raise frame sheep or do you want to raise wether sheep?
So explain to people, are they going to notice that big of a body difference in conformation between a full blood versus a more of a commercial animal?
Yeah, it is. It's a different game.
Okay.
It's a totally different game. I mean, and commercial goats are different than full blood goats.
Now here on your farm, what do you have? Do you
Commercials.
have all commercials?
Yeah, we raise basically for wethers, show wethers.
Well, I guess the best thing to do is go and take a look and see what we can see. So,
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, if that works for you.
Yeah, let's go take a look and we can kind of walk and talk if you like. So you have some babies on the ground now.
50, 60.
50, 60. So
Yeah.
is there a time of year that you shoot for to have these babies born?
November.
Okay, and why is that?
So they're ready for state fair in August.
Sure.
That's your main
That's as
drive
much
here.
time as you as you need.
And we sell goats all over. We're not into AIing or embryo transplanting. It's just the expenses are getting so high, embryos and semen, and it's about a 60%. I
Right.
mean, you know, and return, and you can have 80% sometimes, but other times not.
Right.
Whatever works for you. But you know, you got to have enough goats to. I have $10,000 in bucks.
Right.
You know, when we're breeding goats, I got 3 bucks here at $10,000 a round.
Right.
So there's $30,000 worth of males standing here.
Right. That makes sense. So
I
that
mean,
helps make that
yeah.
decision for you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to raise $1,000 wether, you got to have something behind them. You can't just go to the sale barn and buy the goat.
We talk about that with people a lot as well, and we tell people like you can't get garbage and expect them to make you this miraculous
Right.
animal. You have to
Right.
start with a good foundation and move on.
But people
move on
always
from
get
there.
upset because somebody else spends more money or something. Usually somebody else works harder. Sometimes, you know, the big shots have more people to help work harder, but you still got to put that work into them. And when I sell you the goat, I've already worked a year to get that goat. And if you don't take care of them, now you let me down.
That's a very good point.
Everybody says, well, we want first choice. We want first choice. But I put them in the open market. We used to try to help everybody get going and stuff like that. Costs too much nowadays.
It does.
You know.
And the competition of having open market helps you to pay the bills as well. You
Oh,
know?
yeah. And it's fair.
It is. I agree. It's good for everybody. It's good for
And
you,
a
it's
lot
good
of
for them.
times the best one is maybe the 20th one out of the barn.
That is true. We see
You know.
far more positive outcomes based off of how is that animal fed, how is that animal exercised, how much time does the kid actually spend with the animal. We've had some looking at them on the ground, maybe not the greatest, maybe not my first choice wether, go on to do very well at the fair because the person that bought them really put in the time. We've had some other animals that had really good potential that they didn't put in the time, and it showed when they got out to the arena.
You want to see this thing?
Yeah, so what's going on here?
But it used to be a saddle tank on the side of a tractor,
Okay.
and they're plastic. And what we do is we put a hole in the end, and then it's got to have a hole in the top. And I'll show you as we go inside here.
Okay.
The baby goats climb inside there, and you pick it up. And you can pick it up, and you can check all the goats, and then you can put it over to clean does. So instead of having like a hut or a corner for them to get in
Right.
that you can't get in, I can walk up next to them, and if you come on in, we'll show you around there.
Now, where would somebody go to find one of these used saddle tanks?
Farm sale or somebody's yard or something. They throw them away most of the time. Nobody uses them anymore. Cheap is good.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You got to pay for it. I mean, we're not millionaires. We live here. This is the family farm. This is an old pole building, barn, you know, wooden peg. They put steel on it 40 years ago, you know, and I put a new roof on it again. And
How long has the farm been here? How old is this building?
hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, hundreds, 110 years probably.
You have, just at glancing, you have some very nice conformation, very nice, thick goat kids in there. And these were just born in November?
Yeah, November to Christmas, Thanksgiving to Christmas in there.
How many do you have in here?
It's 56, I think.
I don't think
see how they get on them huts?
Yeah.
And when it was so cold and stuff, you know, you try to close this old barn up, but it just don't work that good. If you had a brand new 10-foot tall Morton building insulated, like everybody thinks they got to have, you know, that are multimillionaires and do it for a hobby, it's a different game, you know.
We like having good airflow. It seems like health-wise, they just do better with the good airflow.
See, we use this. This used to be open. There's a hay mow above it. I built these rooms here. This is my kidding area here. I built these pens. These walls come out of here. We clip in here in the spring. This is insulated with that Pink Panther foam is all it is. We have thermometers on the wall. When the goats are in here, it stays about 53.
Sure.
56.
Body heat coming
Body
off.
heat, you know, when you're kidding. We put them in here when they're kids so they know which one's theirs. 2 days.
Okay.
Maybe 2 days. Sometimes 1 day, hours or something. Depends how busy we are. But see, this wall lifts off the hinges. I take that all out and this.
We do the same thing with our ewes. Some of them only need a day in the jug. Others need 3 days. It depends on how good of a mom they are.
And some people leave them in the jug year round, you know, and I can't do that. That's why we'll have a little more death loss or something like that. But if they're in the jug, they lay on them and stuff like that.
Now, do they kid out in general population and then you bring them in here once they've delivered?
They kid in that pen there usually. It depends. We try to keep track of them. I have cameras.
Okay.
Go to my phone. That's a great investment. I can sit on my phone and wake up at 1 o'clock.
Beats walking out here, doesn't it?
I used to put my shoes on and come out and look at them, you know, and then now I got the camera. I look at my cameras. So that kind of works pretty good, and you can see what's going on. And I want you to know it's always this clean and neat. You know.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't clean it up for you at all, right?
These are these how many how many kidding jugs, how many of these pens do you have total?
I got 4 in this pen, and then I got 2, 4, 6 in this one. This is my original one here.
For someone that is getting into this, is there a magic number that you think you have to have? So let's say somebody had 20 goats. How many pens do you think that they would need?
5, 6. That'd be enough, I would think. That'd be plenty.
You got to have enough to handle.
Because I kid 50 into here. You know, it depends how tight you are and how much. If you AI them and they all kid within 2 days, well, then you need a little more room. You know.
Absolutely.
The secret is, if you're going to live here where we live, you got to have this built before you buy the goats. You know, because you're only wasting your time. You're trying to do it with 4 little gates in the corner, and you got to have yourself a facility. That's just experience. You know, old people experience. It's like you cannot fight the weather, and you know we're 30 miles from Lake Michigan, so the wind comes down around that lake all the time and catches us. And like today, it's damp, it's cold, it's always damp. Yes. You know, in Texas or Oklahoma, when I go down there, they got 3,000 goats, but they got them in a 100-acre pasture. They farm sections. You know,
sure,
and they spread them out. We're confined here, so 100 goats here is a lot. And then I have this black dirt, and the black dirt maintains the worms, the parasites. Goats are terrible with parasites. Boer goats are terrible.
We know that.
Worm 3-4 times a year.
It seems like a common mistake is they get the animals first and then they try to worry about the infrastructure afterwards, and that is
major disaster.
Mistake. Absolutely.
Major disaster. No, we have this. We lock them in here at night. They start the kid here. We bring them in through there. Pens are made so they can funnel in through or go around and come back out that end. During the winter, I try to feed inside.
Most of your kids are weaned now then, is that correct?
No.
No, they're not. Okay.
No.
So
I just separated them, locked them up.
I understand. Okay.
We made it here. It's like
a creep gate.
Little creep gate, just like what you guys use. Move the bars accordingly.
Sure.
Every once in a while, you'll get one with a busted shoulder.
Right.
Runs through there and hits the thing, you know, a little too tight. If you get them too wide, then the old goats go in there.
Right.
So they go from here into that pen, and we got this is where I treat goats. My wife and I, we worm them all. We do it, you know. We're in our 60s, and we do it all by ourselves. So
this is your chute where you would do any health that you need to do.
Right.
This works nice having the circular pattern though, because the flow, it gives you lots of different options as far as which way you want to run them, getting them where you need them to go. That works out
You
good.
try to get that pattern set up, you know. And then you get some lighting set up so you can sell goats. We add them extra lights. And then we go back out here. I put these slides in here so you can get in and out. Then you make this pen out here, and this is the mother goats. This is going to be different from what you guys have. I use these hay feeders. Goats are browsers, is what they call them, browsers, I guess the term is.
Yes, sir.
And sheep and cattle are grazers. Sheep and cattle eat at the ground. These guys eat up. When they put them out in an alfalfa feed, they'll go eat the buttonweed first.
Yes.
They'll eat the tallest things first and then come down. So we get these feeders, and they're made by Townsend. I had one of them hay feeders like Rick Adams has.
Where they push in
Where
on
they
it?
push in, I sold that. He loves them, I hate them. They would push it in, and if I had little goats with them, then I got a little goat with its head stuck in there, and they pushed it in, and it's dead.
See, this is exactly what I was telling you about, how I go somewhere and I see something I haven't seen before. I haven't seen this, and it just makes perfect sense to me. Our goats love eating up. I mean, if we put them in a pasture with a tree line, the first thing they do is go out to the trees and they want to eat everything up high.
They gotta eat what's high.
And so this is, can we walk over here and look at it?
Yeah.
Now, an individual would have to have some kind of equipment to load this with, but you're dealing with round bales, so you're gonna have to have some kind of equipment to move the darn things anyway.
Right, we feed round bales because it's too old to carry square bales out to 100 goats. But you notice here now too, you have to make an adjustment. This is them 4-inch square wires in here. You gotta put that inside, because what happens is when they could stick their head all the way in, they would mushroom that bale out, and then as they eat it, all of a sudden the bale falls over. And then their head's caught in there, and then they're hanging there dead, and you pick them up and carry them out dead. You put that wire in there, and that stops it.
So the roof, this comes off. When you load it, you're able to just take this gate off, side load it.
Yeah, it just pops out.
Very nice. Look at that.
Comes
Where
right
can
outside
someone
and-
find one of these?
Well, this is Townsend. They're down by Indianapolis, but it cost about $1,500. Everybody forgets about that. You got $1,500 in that, and another $1,200 in the tip table to trim feet because goats' feet are terrible. These old does now that they kidded, I'll run them through and trim feet on them. As we go here. And
Do you use a hand trimmer or do you use a disc on like a grinder?
yeah, I use.
The hand trimmers?
We use a hand trimmer.
We do as well.
And knife.
We do as
I
well.
take a knife and level a carpenter knife. We slave them off. And
I see you got one baby that snuck out here.
One snuck out on me, yes, sir. Now, if you look at that goat, see, you talk about structuralized. Look at her front end and stuff, and that's great. But her neck is going to be a little too big.
Okay.
She's how sloppy she is on her neck right now.
Yes.
They want them goosey-necked ones. I'll keep her for a doe. She'll make a great mother. But if you're going to show her, they're going to bellyache about that front end a little bit.
That is a thick goat kid. Wow, she's nice. Like you said, I can see what you're talking about in her neck, though. She's got a very...
Yeah, you want to look at that. I mean, that's something different.
Right.
She could be a little stronger, her hip structure a little bit flatter, but, nothing against it. Wild animals don't have flat hips.
That's right.
You got to try to raise them so they live.
How long do you find that your does will kid for you? How many years do you get out of a good average doe?
Good average doe, well, I don't know, the one in here's, she's got to be 10. You can get 9 years out of them. The main thing is udder structure. Goats will get fish teats on them. Do you have that?
Yes, sir, I've seen it. Now, obviously, you wouldn't have any in here to see because you wouldn't have kept them.
That's about right, yeah. We shipped a bunch of them, This old goat here with the bag hanging down, yep. I keep all of her kids. She milks like a cow.
I see that.
I'd like to see her bag structure a little tighter, but she milks.
Over time, over years, does their bag structure tend to fall apart a little on you?
Just like every other animal, yeah. But I bought her out of Texas. She come from a Payne down in Texas, and I brought her home. And I use her all the time back. I think in the last 4 years, she averages at least 2 to 3 kids every year, and she raises her own. So you want that back into them. She'll have kids and won't leave. She'll take care of them. Matter of fact, you got to help when we're vaccinating them. I got to hang on to the mother because she'll bite you. I mean, she'll come across and bite you. And goats, if their kids, they're bred into them, they'll take their front feet and actually pull the kid back.
We've seen that, yeah.
They're taught to do that. And
I noticed you leave the horns on all of your does. And so if you have a replacement doe that's born here and I'm going to keep this one, you don't disbud. Do you disbud any of the females?
No.
Now, for show purposes, most shows require the wethers to be dehorned. And at what age do you find is the best time to do that?
10 days.
10 days.
10 to 15 days.
Okay.
They're all dehorned already.
And why the 10 to 15 days?
They get too big and too stout. We just take the hot iron and I put the hot iron over them like you do.
Yes, sir.
And you just circle it a few times and push on it and you pop that button off. You know how you do it, I imagine the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You look for that copper colored ring around it. Make sure you get a full circle
Take and
and
go
pop
back
it
around it again. Yeah. See, like these are weather does. Like this doe here, see her? Smaller structured, thicker fronted. Different breeders have different styles. See my feet or how bad them feet get?
How they're kind of rocking back in their pasture.
Yeah, they'll get like that. You got to trim them 3-4 times a year.
Especially when they're getting good nutrition.
When they're getting good hay, I'm feeding second, third cut and alfalfa to these. That's what they get, so yeah.
I often worry sometimes I will hear some people say online, they'll say, well, I never have to trim my hooves. And I think, I wonder what you're feeding them then, because it seems like the better nutrition we get, the faster they grow. I tell people the analogy I give is if I malnourish you so bad that your fingernails didn't grow, we'd have a problem. So
pretty much. I can take one and they can have 4-inch feet on them. You give me about 10 minutes and they look like they're going to show them. It don't take much at all. They're pretty soft. It's not like a cow. We put them in the chute, tip them over.
Right.
Hardest part's getting them in the chute. I got a couple guys that help me, and we swap labor back and forth or whatever. But, these are working does. There ain't nothing
Most of
fancy.
These does are classic traditional color, but I noticed you do have some solids.
Yeah.
You do have some paints. I know dappling and all these wild colors are kind of, it depends on where you go in the U.S., but it's kind of a craze in some places. Do you specifically pick for color, or do you just go mainly off body condition when you're looking? Or do you even bring anything in?
The people that bought goats from me, they're gonna laugh about this all the time because we go right back to what do you want to raise? Do you want to raise spotted goats? Raise spotted goats. You want to raise meat goats? Raise meat goats.
Sure.
You want to raise dairy goats? Raise dairy goats. You try doing them all, you're not going to do any. We raise the white ones because they show better as wethers, just like a black show steer.
Why do you think that is? Do you think they're just more appealing to the eye?
The muscle in them is more expressive visually. Not always really, but visually. A black goat is hard to look at, or a red goat is harder to look at.
That makes sense.
Because you don't notice the muscle expression as much.
I can see that with a white body, it would express that muscling better.
When we have judging teams here, we tell them, and 4-H kids, especially college guys already know, you got to remember all the time that you want to keep them structurally sound, because we're selling goats now for $20,000 that their knees buckle, and that kind of goes with the longer necks. So I'll have a little shorter neck. I have some that buckle, and we try to work on them, but it's just like with the spider legs.
Sure.
You start breeding in for one freaky thing, you get all this other garbage that comes with it.
How often are you bringing in new does? Do you look at your kid crop every year and select a few?
See, that's the problem we're at right now is we have been selling our best ones. There for a while, I didn't sell any does, and then all of a sudden, you got to pay the feed bill. So, if you could sell a doe for $2,000-$3,000 and it's 30 pounds, you got to feed it for 2 years to get something back out of it. You should be selling it,
Yes, sir.
But the problem is now when I go to buy one again, like you said,
you're going to pay for it.
Now they want $2,000-$3,000. Yeah.
So you're feeding your does grain? It looks like you're feeding them a mini pellet here.
I feed a Huber feed.
Is there a reason that you choose the miniature pellet, the smaller pellet?
Consumption.
They just go after it better?
You could feed texture feeds.
Yes, sir.
But they'll sort through it if you try pushing them.
Yes, they will.
They eat the corn or they eat this or that. Every time they eat a pellet, they get everything they should.
If you don't mind me asking about your feed, what are we looking at here?
That's a Huber goat maker, meat maker they call it. It's a 14%. I buy it, by the tons. My feed bill's like $20,000.
Sure. We just bought a pallet the other day for $500.
But I don't have corn, and I buy all my hay and all my feed.
Is this a medicated feed?
Yeah.
For coccidia,
yes.
Decox, or what are you?
Yeah, sure. A lot of times you just put ruments in them or something.
We get people asking often about protein percentage. Should I feed 20%? Should I feed 16%? Should I feed 18%? Do you have any thoughts for your does when they're lactating? Do you have any thoughts on protein percentage? kind of go with what works for you and what's going to maintain body condition.
What are you feeding for hay?
Absolutely.
What are you feeding the other parts? You know, you try to keep it balanced out. You know, we work with like Rumsey down there and talk to him. And our local vet here is Pat Rotowall. You know, and they'll give you advice and stuff like that. More times than not on the goats, you know, a baby goat's worth about $20, really, and realistically. You know, it costs you $75 to $100 to have the vet come.
Sure.
So we do pretty much all of it ourselves.
I think you have to. You can't stay in business long if you do.
But guys are great to help you and stuff like
Right.
that. And it's so hard to find a big animal vet anyway.
Yes, sir.
Because, you know, nobody wants to commit their life to it like you do.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a hard time. I mean,
It is.
It's, you know, they can get paid so much for embryos and all this other fancy stuff. And to be honest, the real grunt thing is here. You know, I mean, you're grunt. Well, this is what I was telling you. See this? This is how they get in there. Look at that. See, they get in there and I pick this up. This is pretty good. Buck there.
Do you have a...
Come on. Psst.
That's
Come on. Get out of there. Come on.
This is super convenient. Being able to just reach down with your hand, pick it up. They go running.
They go running. You can look at them, see if they're healthy or not. You know, the thing is, try to make chores easy.
Yeah.
Because we've got full-time jobs, too.
We do, too,
I
yeah.
sell real estate, and
Okay.
I drive a school bus, and you know, and I auctioneer, and
I work in
we raise goats and-
people healthcare. So
Yeah, there you go.
So you know, it helps. So what I would, boy, you've got some nice looking goats in here.
see,
Let's talk about let's pick out a one of your favorites as far as what you would say would make a really good show animal, and kind of talk about what it is about them that catches your eye. Maybe something that would help someone out that's going to look at goats maybe for their kid for 4-H or something like that.
any of them kind of depends
kind
what
of
you're
a,
going to do. You see, you got a top view of this goat right here. See the hip structure in it? You got to learn bone structure and muscle structure. I mean, see how he comes out of them front shoulders and goes straight back? He doesn't come in and out.
Yes.
He's flattened out. This purple tags comes from a buck we bought out of Oklahoma, and he's called Trotter.
Okay.
He's all old genetics, you know. His mother's like a $20,000 doe or something like that, but, you know, but see, that gave me this smaller frame, and he's pretty good. I mean, he's dehorned. He's got the left tag, so it's a weather. But see how his hip kind of expands towards the back of it?
Yes.
That's the way they should be. They should be V-shaped like that.
So a V shape, a little bit more narrow in the front than in the back,
Not
or
necessarily.
at least even.
Yeah, but see, even at a young age, you can see the muscle in him.
Sure.
You know, I mean, he's just going to be, he's pretty cool.
Now we find with our sheep, even as a newborn, I always tell people, I say the structure isn't going to change. They're just going to kind of grow into it. Do you find that that's mostly true? I mean, if they don't look good when they're little, they're not going to look good when they're big, right?
Yeah. You went out with somebody on a date because you thought they were pretty.
Right.
So you got to be pretty to make the top 10 at Louisville.
Right.
After that, you married them because there's more to it than that.
Sure.
But you got to admit, you asked her out because she was pretty.
Right.
At least you, in your eyes, you know.
Right.
She was a farm girl in bibbed overalls or coveralls.
Right.
You know, that's kind of makes her right.
Right. I like this 1515, this yellow tag right here.
Yeah.
Tell me about this one.
Well, that's a weather, too. He's a bigger boned one. The yellow tag's out of the Went buck. And we bought this, we used the Went buck because huge bone, huge feet. You know, the tendency right now in Texas or Oklahoma, some places we went, longer necked and very refined. Well, it seems like the longer the neck stretches out and goosey neck, they call it snake necked, they lose the bone.
Okay.
It's something that coordinates with that.
Okay.
You know, basically goats are bodybuilders. They get the frame, the structure. It's like anybody else. They feed them on nutrition. They put them on a weight program, and they build their body up like a weightlifter.
Sure.
You know, most of them are made, but
So most of these yellow tags I notice have that very similar, very thick, very stout. I'm looking at 15, 14 right
Right.
here. Maybe a little bit shorter, thicker neck, but that just goes along, as you said, with that muscling.
And like I said before, I rented that buck from a fella in Iowa to use to get females.
Okay.
Because that's the females I want. I own the purple tag buck, like this little guy here. This is a doe. Look at how stout she is, coming through the top and front shoulders. I mean, that's pretty nice.
I was looking at 1493. This one here, purple tag. Oh, it's walking away from us now. But I do notice it does have maybe a more appealing athletic look to it. It's got a little bit longer neck. It's a little bit leaner.
Different genetic.
More tubular body style.
Yeah. Different genetics. What do you want to raise?
Right. And would you say that as you travel across the United States, there's different trends in different areas?
Oh, yeah.
Now, up north here where we're at, would you say the trend's more for thicker, bolder body, or would you say it's more athletic, leaner?
No, I'd say it's a little more deeper chest. They'll give you a little more width to them. You know, if you get south, they want them cutthroats. I mean, it's got to be tight and up fronts. The thing I saw when we took a ride and chased around and looked at everybody's goats. You get them front ends really extended, seems like the front knees buckle.
Okay.
It kind of just goes with it, you know. And you go to buy a buck and they want $7,000-8,000 for this buck and can't walk on his front legs.
Sure.
I mean, that's just not. But that's the trend, you know. You got to remember, I'm old. I've seen cattle, when we showed cattle, they were this big.
Right.
And then we showed them Chianis, remember, that were this big.
Right.
And now we're back to cattle that big bellied and big chested.
Right.
And it's a lot of waste in my eyes, but that was volume and depth and stuff.
Things change.
Who decided that's the one we got to raise? You know, everybody that goes to a show, they get mad if they get beat, but why is that guy judging? I mean, who says that this is the good one? What decided that?
The judge, I guess, when he said.
The people that are in charge said, we want them to look like this.
Sure.
And in 2 weeks, when we're selling a different kind of goat, I always call it the balloon theory.
Okay.
I give you a balloon, and you go to grab it, and I let go of it, and it floats away and floats away. And you go chasing that balloon, and finally you got your livestock looking like this balloon was. You bring me back the balloon, I say thank you, and I let another one go, and you go chasing that one. You know, you got to decide what you want to raise. I made them mistakes myself. These goats like this is what we've been trying to raise.
I'm looking at the green tag one up close to our camera there. That's a nice looking goat.
That's a drunken Injun goat. That was raised by a drunken Injun, came from Timmy Leonard down by Decatur, he is.
Okay.
And then this orange tag, these are out of the Payne doe that I show you. We have a buck out of her. We got a few of them. We raise them for the daughters. I'll keep them daughters. They're a little larger framed, as you can tell.
This is a nice looking, this yellow tag right here.
Yeah.
Boy, they're...
The yellow tag ones go back to the Went buck again. And
will you...
This is my genetics. I'm going to keep most of these does.
Will you ever keep a male intact? Do you ever see you'll see him hit the ground and say that guy's going to be... Okay.
Genetically, we usually keep one a year. See, come on. See, like that's a pretty good goat. Look at the muscle in it already, you know. I mean, and then when you get them front ends like this, see, they're just a different deal. You can't buy them at the sale barn.
No.
You know, but they cost me a lot of money to get them, so.
Weight-wise, where are we at right now? Ballpark average, would you
20.
say? And where would you expect these guys to be
They're gonna be
fair
about,
time?
Oh, fair time?
Yeah, if fed appropriately.
75 to 100. That's what you want to be at. You know.
I notice you're feeding them. What do you have here? Good third cutting?
Yeah, that's some hay I bought, right? Come on. Yep. Now, see, we use that spray paint all the time, too, to mark them.
Sure, we do
Those
as well.
are triplets, you know. Keep track of the triplets so one don't get pushed back.
Where are you at percentage-wise this year as far as males to females? Are you having...
Half.
Okay.
Pretty close.
So you do keep bottle babies?
Oh, yeah.
We do as well. Some people...
Hit them in the head.
Yeah, I know.
They got more money than I have.
Yeah, they got more money than I do too.
Yeah, I'm not.
I got enough. I spent enough money trying to keep mine alive. I sure as hell ain't gonna hit him in the head with something. That made it worth my trip right there. Just seeing the.
I think they just worked out. I mean, when it was so cold,
right?
Them goats are just in there. That's where they go,
Right. And they'll just warm it right up. All of them.
Oh yeah, but you got to have a hole in the top,
right?
Or else the moisture builds up in there.
Oh, that ain't a goat.
Come on, out.
Go be with your friends.
That's a triplet there, so yeah.
So explain an online sale. So our viewers, let's say one of our viewers wanted to buy one of your goats. They go online when the online sale's happening. They bid just like it's eBay or anything else. They sign up, they register, they bid, and then they win. And then what happens after that? How does someone get a goat that they purchased from here to their home? How does that usually work? Do you have people that haul them for them?
Sure.
Do you have people that come out and get them, or
You'd have both.
okay? Do you use cedars and PG600 for your does to get them to go into estrus?
We have.
Okay, and that's just to help with timing, correct? That way you're getting them when you want them.
The secret is if you look here, we'll have 5 different pens breeding bucks or breeding goats. And we'll use this dirt lot, we use this lot, that lot. I make another lot in there. Put all them bucks next to each other. Jealousy. Jealousy brings them all in the heat, makes them want to breed better.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you got 5 bucks, everybody's breeding and talking.
Right.
Oh, they're pounding the fence to get to the next one,
Really?
Oh, yeah. And see, in goats, you guys don't know that, but like them wire panels, see them panels all bent up?
Oh, yeah.
Them does will stand there and hit that gate for an hour and a half, because they don't like the other one on the other side. Right. See, like this little doe here, she's a younger one, but see how cocky she is? I mean, she's a purple tagged one. They're kind of...
Right.
She's a cocky little bugger. She stucks her head up and sticks out. And
right.
Those are the females you want. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks very pretty when she walks.
Yeah, look at her head up in the air now,
Right.
My wife, that's kind of my wife's favorite one. It's one of the last ones born. This one here is pretty good.
So 1428.
1428.
So tell me what you like about him.
Just look at him from his front, his cock and his neck. And he's round already. So he's going to have some muscle in him. He walks in there and catches you. Look at him. I mean, he shows himself.
Right.
The secret is to get a decent front on him without getting them shoulders out, because then them goats are dead. They come out the side. You're breeding goats. They'll tell you the winning goat comes out the side because it's a freak.
Right.
The reason they win is because they're so different than everybody else, because the other ones all died.
Right.
I mean, the one that won's different because there ain't many that lived that like that.
Right.
That's all. But that goat is, look at this, he's got some roundness to his back. He's got some muscle in him. See how he even with his hair on him, he walks. The other thing is the goats don't walk good.
Right.
Goats always cross their back feet, and if you notice, we're big on that. Our goats walk.
Your goats do walk very nice. I see they kind of follow in their footsteps.
You try to get them like cows, where they fill the track like that little white goat.
Right.
And they don't cross their legs on the back, and that's kind of a thing we're known for. And the them tails are up in the air pretty well all the time.
When is your online auction, by the way?
It's going to be the last week of March.
And where
April.
And where would someone go to find that online?
Willoughby.
Willoughby
I
auctions.
booked one on Willoughby. I'm going to take some to Lafayette to Willoughby's live sale.
Okay.
So people can see what we got.
So there'll be a live sale that you participate in Lafayette, Indiana in March. And then there'll be an online sale as well.
Right.
And then we'll have all of your contact information located below the video so people will be able to contact you directly. Do you do sales directly from the farm? If someone calls and says, I want an animal, do you do that, or are you doing auction only?
Not until I get done with the others,
Absolutely.
You got to have a little integrity. Sometimes the ones that pay the most aren't the best.
Absolutely. We talked about that earlier.
We talked about it, yeah.
When you're thinking about prices, these are also good looking that it's...
I think for a real market, you need to stay $750 to $1,000 for a good weather.
Okay.
I mean, you can buy one for $300-400. If I take it to sale and it brings $300, I'm gonna let it go. I ain't bringing it home.
Sure.
I don't take them to give them back, but
That's nice looking.
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
this is the best set we've ever raised.
On average, what would you say? Well, here's another one that looks. Look at that guy. Good Lord. Yeah, these are very nice. Well, he's got a lot of shag on that tail too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a hairy deal.
Yeah.
That buck that they're out of, he's got 6-inch hair on him.
Does he?
Yeah, it's
I like it myself.
yeah.
And the more I look at them, the more I can almost, before I even see the tag color, I can tell what group they're from. After a while looking at them, you're like, you can kind of get used to.
Well, there's people that show and there's people that breed. There's breeders and showers. I'm not a shower. We don't show. We never showed goats in our life. I can't help you show them. But, I've always been in the livestock business, and it's the only thing I've ever, I didn't play. I wasn't a very good basketball player, and I wasn't a baseball player. Or
You
nothing.
raised
It's
livestock.
I raised cattle and judged, and I was judging in junior college before.
Sure.
Back in 1974, back in the years. Main buck right now, this is Drunken Injun. You can see the
Wow.
muscle expression in him.
Yeah.
And then we put these funnel feeders in here.
Okay.
Works great.
So tell
I
me
should have
about
bought
these-
them years ago.
Tell me about these funnel feeders. To me, it looks nice because I could put them along my fence row. I can pour into them. It just pours right down. Yeah, I could even stick a flake of hay in there if I needed to in
Yeah,
a
you
pinch.
never have to get in it.
Tell me, how old is he?
I think he's 5. He's going to be 5
How long will a buck last in this business?
till they die. We had one that was 6. He died. He's going to be 4. So he's at his prime right now. But he's got the expression, the muscle expression in the butt.
Yeah.
But he gets a little narrower behind his front shoulder. See how he comes in
Yes.
on that front shoulder? Sheep don't do that, and goats do. And
Will they? Is that? I don't want to use the word defect because that's not appropriate. Is that something less desirable where they come in behind that front shoulder?
yeah.
Now this guy, not as much, right?
That's a doe buck. He makes my does. That's the one I use for the does. Stretched out, reindeer. There's a reason they call them terminally bred.
Explain that to people. So when people hear that term, terminal sire or terminal bred, what does that mean?
It means that they're bred to produce as much meat as possible. Reproductive is second.
So a terminal buck or a terminal ram would be one that's made for, his babies are going to be for meat production. That's the name of the game.
Definitely.
We're not looking for them to make reproductive.
No.
So when you're looking at it from your vantage point, when you're picking out a buck, you're picking him out knowing this is what he's going to be used for.
Right.
Do you hear the same terminology used with does? Is there a word that would be used for
Market
that?
doe.
Market doe. So that's a mom that's going to primarily make meat.
Yeah. They
Okay.
call them market does. Those are for butcher, I would say.
Well, he's got a lot of width between. He's got a ton of width between his front legs, doesn't he? He is a temperament-wise.
He's $10,000. You want him?
No, I don't.
That's what they run.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if they're making good babies for you and you're able to sell them, they're worth every penny. I mean, if they're making babies that are paying the bills, then
You saw him.
yeah, absolutely.
We don't have the fanciest goats in the world, but
No,
we're different than everybody else. That's what we want to be at. And
right. Temperament-wise, do you have concerns about? Do they ever get rowdy on you? Or are they pretty well behaved?
If you played with him too much,
Oh yeah,
you make too much of a pet out of him.
right. And we tell people that. I think that's one of the warnings that we give to people a lot of times is that
Leave 'em alone.
it seems like the males tend to be more friendly when they're babies, and people overhandle them, and then you
Yeah.
create a monster.
You create your own monster. We had one.
We've all had one.
Yeah, you had one. My wife played with him all the time, and pretty soon he's mean, and
Right.
you wonder why he comes up and hits you. You
Right.
know? That's it.
Wow.
But he's,
What do you think he weighs?
he's,
High twos?
yeah, upper 2s,
Right.
going to 3, maybe 2.5. This is where it costs you the money is these.
Your replacement does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're feeding them
For a year, yeah.
for a year, I mean, and if they don't breed, we went through them yesterday and grabbed bags to see if anything was bred, and it wasn't. But see how they stand on the ends there to eat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that. All right, so thanks for joining us again today, Larry. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, my friend.
Pleasure.
We'll come back and see you maybe in the fall. We can do some talking when you're getting closer to breeding time again. Now, if anybody wants to contact you directly, we have all of your contact information located in our video. We're going to have that located below. I suppose if people have questions or comments or concerns, they can reach out to you that way.
Anytime.
And then we'll also put the information about your online sale on there as well as we get closer to that. Again, you said you're going to be selling at live auction in Lafayette, Willoughby live auction, and that'll be towards the end of March, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then your online auction will be in March as well, correct?
It'll be the next week.
Next week.
Right after that. We'll ride
Very,
after that.
very good. All right.
The idea is to get some people to see them live,
Sure.
and then they can check them out. All right?
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.